Hi, Ron.
Hi, Louise.
What's our story for today?
We are looking at one of the Jacob stories. Jacob stories are some of my favorite stories in the Bible. I
Wow.
love the book of Genesis. I love the stories in Genesis. The people are so impious.
What does that mean?
They are not all goody two shoes.
Now, wait a minute, but these are people in the Bible. Aren't they all supposed to be holy and showing us the way to do things and that kind of stuff?
Well, sometimes we learn from folks in the Bible how not to do things.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, gosh. Well, Jacob, he was one of the big guys, right? Wasn't he one of
Yeah.
the fathers and all that stuff?
Yeah, he was. He
Well,
was.
he couldn't have done anything wrong because he followed God, right?
Well, do you remember a story about him and Esau and his father?
Oh, yeah. He tricked him, didn't he?
He
Yeah, he
tri-
tricked Esau and he tricked his dad, and he ended up with the birthright that he couldn't go back and say, oops, I don't want it.
Yeah, and he ended up getting his father's blessing too.
Yeah. So he got all the good stuff, and Esau, if I remember correctly, was a little bit upset. Just a little.
Yes, a little bit upset
Yeah.
that Rebecca, Jacob's mother, said, "You better hit the road, get out of town,
Oh, yeah, he was.
go
Yeah.
live with your uncle."
Yeah.
So this story picks up when Jacob is heading out of town, going to a place called Haran, and it gets to be nighttime, and so he decides to sleep, and he picks up a rock for a pillow. Now,
That
seems
doesn't sound like a snuggle bunny.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
A rock. That'd give me a headache.
I've never seen one advertised on TV for a pillow
Yeah,
commercial.
me either.
Yeah. Well, he lays his head down and he starts having a dream. You know how I have dreams. Have I ever told you about my dreams?
You know, the dreams you have, Ron, you just don't ever win in those dreams.
No,
You have
that's
some
true.
really bad dreams.
That's true. That's true. We won't go into them now. Then.
Okay.
All right. Well, he has a dream where he sees what looks like to be a ladder or a stairway that goes from the earth up to heaven. And on going up and down the ladder are angels.
Oh my goodness, how weird is that?
Yeah. And then he hears the voice of God.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
What does God say?
God says, "This land that you're sleeping on here, I'm going to give it to you and your descendants, and they will be as numerous as the specks of dust on the earth, and they will extend their territory in all directions, and I will bless all of your descendants, and I will be with you and protect you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land, and I will not leave you until I've done everything I've promised to do for you."
Now wait a minute. God is saying all of that stuff after Jacob deceived his dad and after Jacob did some really, really not nice stuff?
Yeah, he is. It's kind of hard to understand, isn't it?
Yeah. So what does Jacob do?
So apparently God can even use scoundrels at times.
Do you think that means that even if we feel like we are sinners and we cannot get past what we've done wrong, God could use us too?
I sure hope so.
Yeah, me too.
I sure hope so.
Wow.
Well, Jacob woke up and he said, "Surely the Lord has been in this place. And what I think I'll do is I will take this stone that has been my pillow and I will set it up and pour oil on it, and it will be a memorial, and we will call this place Bethel, which means the house of God."
There are a lot of churches named Bethel.
There are a lot of churches named Bethel.
I wondered why. The house of God.
Yeah, Beth means house, and
Okay.
El is a name for God.
Wow, you're smart.
Yeah, I didn't go to seminary for nothing.
Okay, well, I'm glad it paid off.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, But then Jacob does something weird. He says to God, if you will go with me, and if you will be my God, and if you will give me my descendants, and if you will take care of me, and if you will provide for me, and if you will protect me, then you will be my God, and I will give you 1/10 of everything you give me.
He said if to God?
Yeah.
After God said all that stuff he was going to do?
After God had already promised.
Ooh, that sounds kind of dangerous.
It sounds like he's kind of bargaining with God.
It does. You know, I have to say that sometimes I've been in a pickle and I might have bargained with God too.
Yeah, I think maybe we all have.
Yeah.
I think maybe we all have. And
Wow.
But that's how the story, that part of the story ends, and then Jacob's gets on his way and starts going back to where his uncle Laban is, where he's going to live. What he's going to find out, though, is that Laban is as big a trickster as he is.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So Jacob has some maturing to do.
Yeah, it sounds like it. All those ifs and, you know, trying to bargain with God and all that stuff after God was so good to him, saying all those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So I'll be interested to see if the lectionary tells us to read any more of these stories.
Well, you know, those Old Testament stories are really something because when when I was a little kid, I thought they were all good guys and I knew the stories, but gosh, when you get to be older and you start thinking about what those people were really like, it's really interesting how God uses people.
It really is. It really
Yeah.
is. And we've got a few scoundrels in the bunch.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you shared that story with us. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Oh, did I tell you about my last dream?